let's see if this works. Pop out that chat. Okay, YouTube should be live as well. And we're off. Okay. That's good, chat. Eager for 2xKO? Yeah, so 2xKO starts in what, 2 days? So that's the next one. I will be playing 2xKO. It's gonna be hard for me to swap between all these different tag games. I'm so bad at tag games. But I guess now we're gonna have proper training mode with 2xKO. So I can spend some time actually figuring out how to maneuver with the buttons. Should be fun. Oh, okay, hold on. Actually, sorry, I gotta take a call really quick. Boom again. My bad. Had to figure out lunch plans real quick. Okay. Let me make sure to have notifications on. Okay, where was I? Did it not have proper training mode in the beta, alpha lab, or whatever? I think it did have training mode 2xKO. I guess I'm more basing that off my experience with the Marvel Tokon. I didn't play in the second beta. Hey, what's up, Athena?
Let's get pickled, team.
Is that what we're doing? We're all getting pickled here together. Thanks for the 200 bits. Yeah, for 2xKO, I did not play in the second beta. It was at a busy time for me. I don't even know if I was home or available to play it. So I will be far behind the competition. I'm already behind just to begin with. A lot going on. Tag fighters, tag fighting game fans are definitely eating good right now. I wonder what the vibe is going to be like with the beta, because it's essentially released, right? It'll essentially just be out once this beta is out. So I wonder if there's going to be a lot of consistent tournaments. Like, is it going to feel like the game is released? I honestly can't tell. I'm not sure what the player population will be like either. It'll be interesting to see how that actually picks up in due time. What up, Deku? Is that a diamond geef in our presence? I heard some rumblings, heard some rumors that you clawed your way out of the dumpster and into the diamond lounge. I heard some rumors. Is it true? Hold on, where's there's no clip? There's no pop off? When did this happen? How was Tokon? It was good. I'm really ass at it though, and I wish I had training mode, but it was good. Do I miss Street Fighter 5 at all? I mean, maybe Oro here and there, but I don't really miss it in that sense. There's new games to play. You've been stuck on Diamond forever? When did I miss this? My chat was updating me. You've been on Diamond for a month, or did you shoot back down to Plat? I hope they can get casuals, because right now it feels like only the FGC cares about Tuco. Wait, is Tuco the new name for 2XKO? Or is that like a fusion of 2XKO and Tokon? Did Tokon make you any more or less interested in 2XKO? Why would it make me less interested or more interested? I'm honestly not seeing the connection there. Sage Jam calls it Tuco. I'm out of the loop with 2XKO, to be quite honest. I've been completely tuned out from the game since the first beta. So I will now be engaging with it again. But I just haven't cared about it, is my honest opinion. Tokon looks a lot better than 2XKO. I agree at surface level. It depends on what you value in a game. I think Tokon pops a lot more, but since the first beta, there's been a lot more polish. I think with the first beta, it felt very unpolished when I played it. And so I want to give it more benefit of the doubt going into this one, because it has been showing a lot of changes since that time. But in the first beta, it felt extremely unpolished, whereas this beta, in my opinion, the only difference right now with Tokon and 2XKO, or one of the major differences, is that Tokon did not announce 4 years too early. They announced Tokon at the right time when the product was in a demoable and polished state. And now they're putting the finishing touches on. 2XKO was announced way too early. So my very first only experience with Marvel Tokon was this beta, and even at EVO, and it felt so much more complete, polished, and professionally produced than my first experience with 2XKO. That was my big comparison point, and I think that first impressions always matter far too much, just with human psychology. It's very hard to overcome a negative first impression. Extremely difficult. So 2XKO was just announced way too soon, and it's been like overexposed in its premature states to the public for too long, in my opinion. So I think it's much better now, but my impression of it, my lasting impression of it, is the first beta, where I felt like the KOs, the transitions, everything felt real sluggish, and like the animations felt kind of cheap. And so I think now it's a lot more polished. But as far as gameplay, it's going to depend on what you value. Tokon is a lot like DBFZ, and there's a very simple core structure to it. Whereas 2XKO, I honestly think 2XKO will have a lot more freedom and flexibility in gameplay, which might be what you prefer. It depends. I think for casuals, I honestly imagine for casuals, they'll probably gravitate towards Tokon a bit more. But I'm still very interested in how the free-to-play works out. Hey, Sir Fufel? Kerfuffle? Thanks for the big 3 months. Yeah, I'm curious how free-to-play works out, because we haven't seen it succeed in the FGC so far. But obviously, Riot free-to-play, it's a different beast entirely. That's the big thing. Will Riot's free-to-play schemes actually work out this time? They've done it with every other game. They're the 500-ton gorilla juggernaut in the FGC right now. So will their strengths actually translate to a traditional fighting game? It's funny, but 2XKO would have benefited from being less transparent. They really shouldn't have revealed so early. Yeah, honestly, you know, for as much as consumers, and myself included, complain about lack of communication, there is a fine balance to draw, isn't there? I know as a Street Fighter fan, we bitch and moan all the time about lack of transparency and communication from the devs, but there is a certain strength to that as well. It's a very fine line to draw, and I mean we've seen this with like Tekken, with how transparent Harada has been as of late as well. Is that really to the benefit of the Tekken brand? Is it? It's a very interesting line to toe. Community engagement versus moving in silence and just presenting things when the time is right. You have to really find that balance. And think about Marvel Tokon. There was zero announcement until the time was right, and then the game was in a almost finished state. So it's hard to tell. And also there's a big difference between pre-release transparency and post-release transparency. Big difference. Pre-release, I feel like you should be a little hush-hush until it's ready. Post-release, I think that's the time to have some level of community engagement, but you still have to toe the line carefully and not engage too much. Because, you know, people are going to be... It's any competitive game and community around competitive gaming, people are going to be complaining non-stop. So you really got to toe that line carefully and not feed the trolls, essentially, or get caught up in negative discourse from a vocal minority. I normally play on stick, but Tokon feels way better on controller. It's definitely designed for more casual appeal. I think 2xKO and Tokon are both suffering from the modern game issue of having way too many macros. And for example, one interesting thing about Tokon, which I didn't explore enough, is the unique skills. Did that need to be a separate button? If they just committed to a full motion control scheme, could you have fit most of those unique skills onto an existing motion input and still had them all accessible? Because Captain America only had 2. So I don't know, like that's another extra button. And then the fact that the special button, the one button special button is required to do supers, from my understanding, is also strange to me. Because I don't use that button usually, or I didn't use that button usually. And then I had to use that button for supers, and I have to press 3 buttons for super. Doesn't Star-Lord have a lot of unique moves? Yeah, some characters might have a lot more than others. Captain America only had 2. I guess 3 with a variation. No, you can do motions for the special moves. The unique moves, you can't do motions. They're bound to a different button. The motion inputs are for the special moves. There's special moves with normal inputs using directional inputs plus your light, medium, or heavy. Then there is a special button so that you can bypass doing the motions, and then you can press special alone for the light version, special plus medium for the medium version, and special plus heavy for the heavy version. Then there's a unique button, which is bound to that a couple of other unique moves for the character that can only be accessed through the unique button. So there's a lot of buttons. And then there's all the assaults mechanics, which are related to using like the light plus tag. So there's a lot of macro stuff going on. Or assemble, sorry, not assault, assemble, the team actions. There's a lot of actions tied to macros, essentially. And having 3 different sets of attack buttons was kind of overloading. And I do agree that my controller felt overwhelmed. And I think 2xKO has the same issue. Like, there's too many buttons. Now, I don't know if they could have solved that, because it seems like they have a lot of special moves for Tokon. So maybe there's no way around that. But it feels like overkill. Like, it gets a little annoying to have so many different buttons to press. Yeah, I think I agree. What up, Burkish? I agree that 2xKO has even more buttons to press, but it's been a while. It's not fresh on my mind. It's not required for super. You can do motions for supers. Yeah, but even, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, even if you do a motion input for super, you still have to press medium, heavy, and the special button, right? Or am I wrong? If you do the actual input for super, Oh, you can just do MH? Okay, that was my misunderstanding then. I felt like I always had to press a special button. Okay, that was confusing me during the beta. Too many things to remember. So, like, when I was doing my supers, I would forget where the special button was. Because I barely used the special button. I used it here and there for, like, the anti-air specials. Because that's pretty good in the clutch, and I can't do... I only know how to do SOCD and Street Fighter 6 style shortcut DPs. So for DP, I use that. But I would literally be forgetting where the special button is. So wait, was it quarter circle and medium H for the regular super, and then it was the Guilty Gear motion, half circle forward, medium H for the ultimate super? Is that how it was? Okay, I should have been doing quarter circle forward, medium H. That would have been way easier for me. That would have been so much simpler on my brain. I didn't realize that. The Guilty Gear motion, though, that's still awkward for me on leverless. I don't love that super input. I'd have to practice that. I unbound quick skill at the start. I put it back on just used for down specials because I hate that motion. I think it'll be useful for anti-air moves. How did I like the game? I liked it, but I definitely wish I had training mode because I just need to go through the motions of doing strings and staggering the strings. I don't have enough intuition from DBFZ and other chain games, Gatling games, to do a full sequence into a special, into an assist call. So like I would be forgetting how to string my next button in the string before doing a special into an assist all the time. Like I finally got them. I finally won neutral and forced them to block something. Then I would just fumble the string, and I'm like, dude, I just need some time in training mode. So that part was a little frustrating. But when I wasn't forgetting all my moves and buttons in the heat of the moment, it was fun. And I see the vision. Also, it just looks good. I think it is very pretty. And I'm a very shallow gamer, so that is extremely important to me. Does it feel like the spiritual successor to DBFZ? Absolutely, in my opinion. Absolutely. It feels like a DBFZ, Marvel, and Guilty Gear. Like, I would say it's like 70% DBFZ, 20% Marvel, 10% Guilty Gear. Because, yeah, it has actual mix. Like, you are going to get opened up in this game. You're going to have to use defensive mechanics to escape. DBFZ had very few moments where you were put into pure 50-50s. In this game, you're going to get unblockable. DBFZ 2 might be cooked, huh? I don't know. Is this going to be the Injustice Mortal Kombat cycle for Arxis? It really feels like they found the formula with DBFZ. They got the technology and the art style done to take comic book, anime, art styles to life in 3D gaming. And then they found a formula for the gameplay. Maybe this is going to be their formula. Like the sort of NRS, Injustice, Mortal Kombat formula. My understanding is that Injustice is actually a lot more different to Mortal Kombat than this would be between DBFZ and Marvel Tokon, to be honest. Someone can correct me. I don't play Mortal Kombat or Injustice. I'm sorry. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But I think I would argue that those games are actually more different than DBFZ and Marvel Tokon. Arc System Works has a cycle of their IP, someone else's IP since like 2004. Right, but isn't this the first time that it's like really following a similar formula for the gameplay as well? You gotta let me know. Lord Knight with the history lesson. Get Blame with the big 13. Thank you very much for that. NRS changes their games more? Right. So this is even more similar in that sense. Beat 'em, join 'em. Mr. Casey? Did I get that correct? Thank you very much for the prime. Enjoy the mid-tier emotes. That is very kind of you. Injustice at least pretends that's a proper fighting game. What does that mean? What is not pretending it's a proper fighting game? I want Super Scroll and Tokon. I mean, you got Kamala, as all the kids are saying. She's not really the scroll function, but you can see some influence there. There's definitely some influence, some inspiration. Will I be playing Silk Song? Coming from the guy with the Silk Song flair in the chat, asking if I'm going to play Silk Song. What's the first game even called? I've never played it. I know that a large sector of the internet was very much anticipating this game for a decade. That's the most I know about it. Hollow Knight. I've heard of that game. I don't know what it looks like. I have a vague idea of what it looks like, and I understand it to be a 2D Metroidvania type game. You know. Brian has never played a video game other than Street Fighter. It's funny because I actually played a lot of games back in the day, but I got quickly locked into the esports sort of mentality back with Halo 2. I grew up playing. My parents had a Super Nintendo, so I played like, Mario and Duck Hunt. Then my first console was a PlayStation 1, but I was a kid, so I was playing all the platformers, Crash Bandicoot, things of that nature. Excuse me. Then I got a GameCube. So I was a Nintendo fanboy in my teens. I was playing Melee, Super Mario Sunshine, all the GameCube titles. And then I moved over to Xbox and I played Halo 2 and Halo Forever. And then I was a 360 shooter bro until Street Fighter 4. So that was my trajectory. So my scope got really narrowed starting with the Xbox Halo 2 era, because that became what I was focused on from that point forward. It was like competitive shooters, like playing those, and then I switched over to Street Fighter 4. So anything in between, I didn't get into the RPGs. I didn't get into whatever. You know what I mean? And so from that point forward, I didn't play video games when Street Fighter 4 came out. Very rarely would I play anything. If I did play something, it might be like a Nintendo title. So the whole era of like the indie explosion in the 2010s and beyond, I didn't play any of those. And I never played PC games. So I completely missed out on all that. So that was kind of my gaming trajectory. If I am going to play a casual game, it's going to be some kind of Nintendo title. I'll play stuff on the Switch or whatever. I played, of course, Breath of the Wild. I played Zelda. I'll play Dark Souls. Yeah, I'll play Dark Souls. I make an exception for Elden Ring and Dark Souls. Balatro was the first time I played a roguelite game ever. I finally got it. But for the most part, I don't like branch out. I would actually love Hollow Knight. Yeah, but I'm not trying to fill my time with enjoyable gameplay experiences that help me find my inner child and joy and discovery and, advancement through a creative world and maybe learning something along the way with a thought-provoking story. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to spend all my time grinding the game of capitalism. So I don't know what are you missing here? What are we missing? All right, I'm going to mute alerts for a little bit. Let's get into it. All right. So the Marvel Tokon beta has officially closed out, and within 24 hours of gameplay time over this weekend, the pros have gotten entirely too good at the game. So I'm not going to highlight my own gameplay because it looks like my dog trying to color in the lines with crayons. I was not a competent player. in this beta, but I will be highlighting a lot of top level plays, and along the way highlighting what we've learned so far about Marvel Tokon. So one of the few criticisms about this game up front was people were wondering if this really was going to be a tag team game because of the fact that you have a single life bar and you're not really required to tag between your characters. But of course, we found out that this is definitely a tag game. We saw the pros here capitalizing on people's mistaken assist calls. Here's Justin Wong getting the big happy birthday combo, got the storm going. Look at the life depleting. Mostly a low damage game, but if you have a bad assist call, you're going to get smoked. And Justin Wong was terrorizing people all weekend long with the storm. So look at the damage on this. Be careful of the assist calls. If a happy birthday doesn't let you know that this has a bit of that Marvel DNA in it, then I don't know what to tell you. We're definitely playing an actual tag game here. And here's Sonic Fox as well, showing off some of the brutal happy birthday conversions. Sonic Fox on the Star-Lord here. Challenges on the assist call. Assist pickup right here. Assist pickup again. Full conversion.
Are you serious? Nah.
Damage. You know when Sonic Fox's mic... When Sonic Fox's mic peaks like that... when the 360 mic from 2009 peaks from Sonic Fox popping off, you know we're in for a grimy game, right? It's a classic. That's the sign you got to use. If you hear Sonic Fox's mic peak and blowing out your eardrums, then you know you're in for the next grimy game, the next generational grime game. And yeah, Marvel Tokon, not just a 1v1 fighter with assists, definitely a team game. And the top players over this weekend have gotten so good that they've practically broken the game. So as we go forward, we'll see more and more broken tech, saving the most broken technology for last, of course. But there's a lot of DNA from different games that we are used to in this beta that we've discovered. And coming from one of the best of a previous game, Hook Gang God here even commented on the Marvel Tokon beta. Here he is, so young, full of hope for the future, after he just won Summit of Power for DBFZ way back. What is this, 2018? Near 7 years ago, or more than 7 years ago at this point. Since then, he's gone on to become a world-renowned variety game streamer, entertaining the people with his amazing variety game streams. So I hold his opinion in extremely high regard when it comes to analyzing upcoming fighting games. And he says, Marvel Tokon is DBFZ2 LMAO. That's crazy. And actually, a lot of people were noticing that this game has a lot of shared DNA with DBFZ. Here's Kusix. Finally, a game with the movement of DBFZ without the full screen normals. So a lot of people were celebrating that. They're like, okay, wait, we're back. Us DBFZ fans are back. And you can actually see a lot of that influence for sure in the high level gameplay. So I like this sequence here from the Tampa Never Sleeps tournament that happened over this beta. Here we have SQ versus Yami. Yami gets the conversion here. You're going to see the conversion here into the knockdown. Backdash into the assist call to cover the tech forward. Got to get another combo conversion here. Knockdown again. Backdash to cover the forward tech. Gets the pressure with the assist pickup. Got to go try to rinse and repeat this. Goes for the overhead this time instead of covering with the assist and the low option. Assist pickup. OD move, or EX move rather, to extend. Drops the combo conversion, but uses neutral assist then to cover few more interactions. Finds the corner. Crossover counter to get some alleviation from the pressure. There's the crossover in return. Gets the hit. So in this sequence, I like this sequence because we started to see a bit of the flow of the high-level gameplay. So if we slow down really the interactions to get a feel for how this game is actually operating here. So once Yami actually gets in, uses the neutral assist from Dr. Doom to use Miss Marvel there with the unique skill for the grab, which is actually like her command dash to get in. Neutral assist doesn't use your assemble gauge. So you actually have many different meters in this game. The assemble gauge is used for the assemble mechanics, which includes the tags that you use during your attacks and during block stun. If you're doing it during a combo or block stun, you can call a direction plus assist, and it will use one of these assemble gauges. The direction you choose will choose which character actually does the assist, but that assist that comes out is a cookie cutter combo assist. It will cause a tumble knockdown on hit, and also put them in blocks and if it's during a block string so that you can apply a mix-up during the assist. And that spends one of these bars. If you call them during neutral, it doesn't use the assemble gauge, but it does lock them out of their assist for a little bit of time. And the position they're in influences what type of assist you have. So, like I said, no matter what position the team is in, when you use the assemble gauge, it provides you a cookie cutter assist. Here in the front position, you generally get a forward advancing assist, a neutral control assist that allows you to get in. The down position is usually an anti-air, and the back position is some kind of unique assist per that character. So using the Doom neutral assist, cover the nooch, get in with Miss Marvel here, goes for the low, starts applying the pressure. So you're going to see after this combo conversion that Yami is going to go for the knockdown after this basic B&B here. And so on this knockdown, this is a basic combo ender. They potentially could have tried to extend it, but the combo meter was pretty full. It would have caused a flip out and a knockdown from the combo anyways. So on the knockdown, you do have tech options. There's not really that many opportunities for a hard knockdown. I'll elaborate on that more later, but generally from most combo knockdowns, you're allowed to tech backwards, in place, forwards. There's different tech options. So you see here, the approach here is to backdash to cover the forward tech, which can cross through and get out of the corner, plus the assist call. So this assist can help cover multiple tech options while they're able to carefully make sure that you stay in the corner. So you see the backdash into the assist call, run up low, the assist covers for the next mix, they go low. They could have potentially at this point, under the cover of the assist, gone for an instant air jump in for a high, or done a unique OD move for a high as well. But you see they dash in, go low again, and SQ gets opened up. Now you're going to see kind of a rinse and repeat of this flow chart sequence here. Knockdown again, backdash, assist call. This time the tech was different. You see that SQ, instead of rolling forward on this tech's in place, dash up low, gets clipped, assist helps for the pickup again. Going to do another full combo conversion into a knockdown. And on this one, they don't bother using the assist for coverage, just go straight for the overhead assist, or overhead combo starter in that case. Unique move right there from Miss Marvel. And now they're going to use the assemble gauge for the tags in this place to get the combo conversion. So you can see here that during this combo, when they do the down heavy at the end of the air combo, they do the knockdown right here. And it's going to call in the Dr. Doom assist, spend the bar. This is going to be the generic filler combo assist. It's going to be the same properties across all these different characters. They're going to go ahead and get that conversion now and do a full combo. And it doesn't end up killing, but you can see the basic flow of the gameplay here. Very DBFZ-like. You have your basic ABC launcher, you have your double jumps, and you have your ability to go ahead and get knockdowns and use assist to cover your pressure. But things definitely get a lot more unique for Tokon as we go on. So here in this clip, we have Daiphone versus Show Off. We're going to see some of the unique mechanics from this one. So we see the knockdown after the stage break here. They're going to do a super jump and full level 3 command grab. So this is not really anything that unique for this game. I just thought that this was nasty. This is just a nasty play, to be honest. It has the DBFZ movement, but at the end of the day, you might just super jump in and do a Geef level 3 command grab on your opponent out of nowhere to snatch the round and get the job done. So I just feel like that was super sick. So we have DBFZ, but there's also some classic fighting game fundamentals in the mix as well. But here we go. There's a lot more mix to come. Here's an example of using some of the character's unique skills to get the mix-ups here. And we have Nerd Josh here with the Captain America. So after this combo conversion, using the ODDP to get an extension, look at that shield bounce. That's Captain's unique skill right there. Ooh, which way do you block? Combo conversion pickup. Tasty Steve sucking on his teeth right there. Oh, and pulled out of the corner.
That was my fault.
The mix. Let's break this down a little bit here. So uses the shield charge right here with the assist to get the pickup. And after this air combo, knocks him down and then immediately does the down shield skill right here to start bouncing on top of the opponent while they fall from the sky to set up the mix right here. So as he comes down, he lands. The shield is still blocking here, right? And then they're going to go for the jump, knock the shield back down because you can bounce the shield. Steve blocks this one appropriately. Got to call assist here after the charge again to set this up. Jump up, shield throw down, falling jab, and then a low. You don't know when he's going to hit high, when he's going to hit low into the EX overhead extension right there. Now this one, once again, gets the knockdown. Throws the shield down, it's bouncing. Jump up, knock the shield down. Knock it down again. Jump forward, knock the shield down again. Cross up into the corner, into the low. That was nasty, dude. That was nasty. So there's not really corner cross-up protection, and there's also ways to pull people out of the corner. So how are you going to block this? This is all without really assist. This is just like the actual unique skill of Captain America, using that shield to bounce around. Look at that again in real time. Cross up. Oh my god. Playing ping pong with the shield. Pulling him out of the corner, going low. I didn't block that. That's for sure. I got mixed. So an example of just using the solo character skills to still crank up the mix and get the hits. But, of course, this is a team game.
Got those yet. Jack got those for some
Here's Sonic Fox applying pressure with Star-Lord. Gets the Dr. Doom assist out there. Tags back into Doom. What just happened?
You were saying? I wanted to clip that. Oh, man.
All in 24 hours time, by the way. Remember, they figured this out in less than 24 hours.
Jack got those for some reason.
So let's break down what's happening here. So he's Star-Lord point right now. And then at this point, he calls in the Dr. Doom assist. So he goes in for pressure with Star-Lord. And then during this move right here, goes in for the Star-Lord special move while the Dr. Doom beam assist is about to come down. Sonic Fox does the active tag into Dr. Doom here. And then they go for teleport in front. Jab. On the next assist with Miss Marvel, and then the dash through to cause the cross up as well. So they blocked the first mix. They potentially could have gone for a cross up on the very first interaction. Block the low here, then another cross up right there. So you can set up unique situations like this with actively switching between your characters. So this Dr. Doom assist is super gnarly. So setting up the Doom assist and then tagging into Doom allows Doom to take advantage of his own mix-up potential with his own assist. So really nasty sequence right there from Sonic Fox, opening up his opponent right there and converting to big damage from that. So we're starting to see how you can involve the team members and getting your mix going, of course, because this is a team game, right? We're starting to see that the top level players are really actively changing between their characters and using that active tag system to use the assist, tag to the character that they just called in, and leveraging that for their pressure and mix-up potential. And here's another one from Damascus with his Wanted series. We have F.A.N.G playing right here. Star-Lord again. Finds the punish. Now look at this sequence here. Gets the combo conversion into the corner. You're going to see some unique mechanics here as well. Uses the Storm Assist. And then what just happened there? You got to keep your eyes on the character. You see the soul transferring between the characters. And then once again, the nasty cross-up mix with the unique skill for Captain America. So let's break down what happened here. There's a few key sequences in this interaction. So from this one, you see, once again, a similar style of mix being applied with the active tag. So he calls Storm Assist for the meaty. He backed up again in order to potentially keep him in the corner if he forward teched in this situation. Uses the Storm Up Assist to put him in block stun as well. And then he approaches behind that, goes for a low sequence. Storm is still on screen, so you're still able to actively tag into Storm. So as Storm is coming down, he does 2 buttons into the Star-Lord low special move in this situation. So then he active tags into Storm. So Star-Lord now is the assist character, finishing up the special move that he'd already inputted, and he's able to control Storm. Does a little jump forward here to fake out the potential high incoming while Star-Lord is keeping his opponent in block stun, and then just falls gracefully to the ground for the empty low right there. So that's a nasty mix-up right there, using the extended special move. So button into special move while your assist is still on screen in recovery, then active tag to mix them up. Then you see in this combo knockdown, he uses the assemble assist right there to get the combo extension with Captain America, and then uses that to switch into Captain America. And in the corner, there's something unique. So the way the stages operate in this game, there's a bit of that Guilty Gear Strive DNA. The stage doesn't have infinite wall breaks like you would have in Guilty Gear Strive. You have more like a stage that is 4 stages long. You can keep swapping between the different stages as you go between the different parts of the stage. But once you hit the far right or far left portion of the stage, The far right side, the right side is the true corner. Or sorry, 3 stages. Thank you for correcting me. There's 3 sections of the stage. So once you get to the right stage, the right side is the corner, and on the left stage, the left side is the corner as well. And so when you hit those final walls, certain moves and actions will cause this wall splat effect, which allows you to do extra combo pickups without using assist, and allows, particularly important in this situation, a sort of hard knockdown situation. So when I was playing the game, I got the wall splat, and I was like, oh, cool, I got a combo extension here. But look at what the top level pros who are ready for this kind of action. I don't know how they figured this stuff out so quick. It's crazy to me. He gets the wall slump here, right? And rather than taking advantage of it and continuing the combo, which would do an okay amount of damage, but remember, there is a limit to the combo potential you have, because there's a combo meter that will eventually force them to pop out. During the slump, he lets them just fall to the ground, and that causes the closest thing you get to a hard knockdown, because you can't tech in this situation. You just get up in place. Every other knockdown, or the majority of other knockdowns in this game, you can tech in different directions, which means that you're able to mix up your options so that they don't get a perfect setup every time, depending on which way they tech. Here, he throws the up skill. The shield is going to come bouncing down. He's going to be able to bounce that shield multiple times, and his opponent is stuck in that spot. So here the shield comes down, and while the shield is coming down, he goes for an instant cross-up dash here, and you have to guess which side he is on as that shield comes down for the hard knockdown. I think here this was on the same side, but it's hard to tell even in slow-mo. So once again, knockdown, get the slump knockdown, throw the shield up, box jump, you have to guess which side, falling jump L, full combo pickup right there. So the wall splat meta is definitely something that started evolving over the course of this weekend, and this is something that I didn't think of at all. So super big brain stuff. A lot of the top players started looping mix in this way, taking advantage of dropping the combo damage slightly, but in order to get these guaranteed mix-up moments, which would be more rewarding for the follow-up combo they get from the mix. So super high-level stuff right there. And you can see how like degenerate the offense can potentially get with having these different tag mechanics, the active tag switching and hot swapping between characters, and then these hard knockdowns, which are really brutal to deal with. But there is a lot of defensive options in the game as well. So for one, you also have this assemble counter, which you can see with the demo, they showed off as being able to perform with back plus light and assist. It's essentially a counter move that you can use on wake up when you're not in block stun, and this would allow you to counter offensive attacks. So this is an option to use. It costs an assemble gauge, but it's an option. But if you whiff it and they stop their offense short, it can be called out and punished heavily, right? So not guaranteed at all. So this option was utilized, but I don't think it was that popular during the beta. However, there is another defensive option that I think was actually heavily utilized and taken advantage of by the top players, and that was the crossover. The crossover mechanic is performed while you're in block stun and is done by just light and assist with no direction. Also uses an assemble gauge, but I think this move is going to be critical to surviving the mix. So you can see here, this is from Grand Finals of TNS. F.A.N.G here uses the crossover gauge pretty effectively. He blocks on wake up here, and you can see Doom pops out, pushes Show Off away, and he's able to then approach for pressure. So not only do you get the knockdown, in some situations you can potentially pressure the opponent after, which is really powerful. In fact, you can see as this evolves from the meta being shown here from F.A.N.G Show Off, later in the set, there's another situation here where Show Off is pressuring F.A.N.G. He goes for the crossover counter again, spins the bar, goes in. This time, Show Off tries to jump away from the pressure, and F.A.N.G is ready with the 2H. So you can see how, even during this set, the reads were evolving. So the defensive option did lead into pressure, and even trying to escape that pressure can get you punished. So that was like a really high level call out and great awareness from F.A.N.G in that situation. But you might be wondering then, what's the downside? Well, there is a downside to going to the crossover, because your opponent in return can potentially counter your crossover attempt, and that can be potentially disastrous, right? So it costs a bar of assemble gauge to use it, but your opponent can also call out and react to your crossover with their own. And you can see in this situation later in the set, Show Off is prepared for F.A.N.G to use a crossover, reacts in time, does his counter crossover, and gets a perfect. So it requires you to have like a really precise timing to get the perfect. If you get the regular version, both of you just reset to neutral. But if you get the perfect version of this counter crossover, you disassemble their team, which means that they can't use any of the defensive options or use any of the assist calls, and it's essentially a 4v1 situation in your favor. And Showoff does try to take advantage of this 4v1 situation, but it's not, impossible to win from this deficit. Diaphone actually does go on to fight solo, find the conversions, and ends up taking this round from Showoff with the only solo character, Miss Marvel, here. So it's not impossible. You can fight back and survive the situation, but you see that you can't just spam these defensive options either. There's counterplay to them. But I think crossover is going to be really important going forward when we get to the final tier of the grime that we've seen with this beta so far. Here's Sonic Fox talking about Marvel Restand Mix in Tokon. So here's Sonic Fox with Star-Lord again. Gets the assist pickup and goes into the grenade, into the freeze. Hold that cross up, but that's not even the end of it. What just happened there? What just happened there? I'm telling you, when you hear Sonic Fox's mic go crazy like that, you know you're in for some grime. So let's break down exactly what happened in this situation as well. So he gets the freeze here, and this freeze from Star-Lord is super powerful because, once again, any situation where you can nullify their ability to either forward, back tech, neutral tech is really powerful because they're forced to stay in position while you can set up whatever mix you want. So he sets up the freeze, calls the Doom assist, and goes for the instant air dash cross up, right? He's dashing over to the other side, and then Doom assist hits from the rear right there. So it's a left-right mix. He has to block cross up to block the assist because Sonic Fox swaps sides. Now, that's not the end of it. That was the first layer of the mix. Now, Sonic Fox applies the pressure, and Doom is still on screen in recovery from the assist. He does light medium into the special move for Star-Lord, and once he activates his special move, he then active tags into Doom at the last second onto the original side. Star-Lord then throws the grenade. As soon as he tags into Doom, he dashes through Captain America onto the right side again, and that's when the grenade actually explodes. Which side, in real time, which side are you supposed to block? Which side? Tell me. How are you supposed to see this in real time? So he went back to the original side again. It's like left, right, left, right, left, right mix. And then he gets the combo conversion with Doom. So I want to show you this all again in real time now that I explained it to you. One more time, please. Cross up. Cross up. Cross up. If you have good reactions, you're falling for that mix. Basically, if you blocked the first cross up and then held back the entire time, you would avoid the mix. That's going to punish the good players. If you don't know what's going on and you don't even understand that he swapped to Doom, then you would just block the same side the whole time. But the good players are going to try to actually react to what's going on and get smoked by this mix. So you might be really incentivized to use some of those defensive mechanics to get out of the situation. For sure. And you can start to see the level of mix being developed. But there's even more grime to come. Check this sequence out. Sonic Fox in this sequence, flowing with the offensive pressure. Going for the wall slump mix. So once again, they use the wall slump just to set up a safe jump there for pressure instead of going for a combo conversion like we talked about earlier. Block string pressure. Going to extend with the assist here. Active tag. Ooh, what was that? What was that? We're about to break that down. Wall slump. You got to hold this mix. Just stays in front for the pressure.
Good luck.
Good luck. You got hit. Okay. What is that sequence? Why is Sonic Fox wishing their opponent good luck? What's first of all, it was crazy they blocked it the first time. This pressure is strong enough as it is. Great blocks from Samij right now. But look at this sequence. Let's break it down. What is going on here? This is where things get to the next level nuttiness. Okay, Star-Lord. Doing the special, the gunshot. Captain America called in with the combo assist for the assemble gauge. Goes in for the shield charge. Sonic Fox runs in for the button, light, medium. Then he activates the special with Star-Lord, and then during the recovery of the assist, active tags into Captain America here. Star-Lord goes low. He has a low special here. He goes low with this, while Captain America does an overhead dive special at the same time. Do you see where we're going with this, chat? A simultaneous low and overhead occurring in this moment. Now, this one wasn't perfectly timed, so there's a slight gap. Star-Lord hits low, and then Captain America hits high right after. Insane blocks, by the way. Look at the blocks. Low, high. That is incredible defense. But that, if it's tight enough, becomes theoretically unblockable. Theoretically becomes unblockable. So, super nasty situation right there. And now we're going to see as it gets pulled to mid-screen, Sonic Fox goes ahead and sets it up again, this time with Captain America on point. Goes low. It's going to set up the shield charge, assist call. This time he's going to activate with Captain America. Button, medium. He's going to go activate the Captain America dive special right here with the overhead and then tag into Star-Lord. So Captain America is going to fly up, go for the overhead. He goes low with Star-Lord right there. And then the overhead hits right after. So once again, this was a super tight, hard to blockable timing. Not a true unblockable, but you would have to block low, then immediately shift to the overhead. And what if it was the overhead first and then the low timing right after, right? So ridiculously tough situation to deal with. You probably want to use the crossover to avoid this. But imagine if you don't have any assemble gauge, right? I think Samich has an assemble gauge in this situation, so they could have used the crossover to avoid this. But no, man, you're getting cooked. Are you sure it won't auto block? Yeah, we are sure, because it doesn't auto block. Boom, smoked. Holding low, gets hit, opened up, dead. So super nasty sequence right there, and that's where you really start to have to utilize the defensive mechanics, because you're essentially guessing on the high-low timing in that situation. And we have one more sequence using this, and I think this is the tightest sequence I've seen so far using that. So here we have the knockdown situation. Little fast fall mix, by the way, on the restand with the ice from Star-Lord. And then another wall slump hard knockdown. And then what are you going to do about that, man? What are you going to do about that? So I really like the sequence, because look at all the mix being applied. Just looping those wall splat hard knockdowns into mix after mix after mix. There's a fast fall there from the restand. Hard knockdown resets into high lows. And then including the potentially unblockable sequence once again. I think this is the one that I think is the most frame tight that I've seen so far of this mix-up. So goes in for the Star-Lord. Going for the pressure here. It's going to tag into Iron Man, who does the charge. Goes low. Charge heavy. And then during the startup of the charge heavy, tags into Captain America and goes with the low. So if you don't know what's happening here, this move is a charge normal from Star-Lord. I believe it's charge heavy, if I remember correctly. If charged, it becomes an overhead. He starts charging this up to activate the overhead, and then active tags into the recovery of the assist to Captain America. And then during this, that overhead is winding up. It's about to hit. He goes low. A crouching L right there with Captain America right there at the same time. And then you just get clunked. So Miss Marvel here was holding down back. It doesn't matter. You block the low, that overhead is incoming. This is almost frame perfect. This is the one I've seen that is the tightest timing. This is practically unblockable. So you really got to use those crossover counters if you want to get out of this situation right here. And then he gets the pickup, and then the sequence flows on forward. It's nonstop. Wall splat, hard knockdown, throw up the shields. You don't know which way the mix is coming. KO. So we can see that the grime has already been developed with 24 hours of playtime in the game. So that's all I have for this video. You can see that the pros are already too good at Marvel Tokon. We're going to see how much this develops. Do you guys think they'll nerf this hard to blockable, unblockable type of mix? I don't know. There's a lot of defensive mechanics to deal with it. We'll see. But the grime is definitely there. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Boom. Okay. Clip and ship. Let's get that to YouTube. Let me get this going. Thanks for the sub. Joe Yeet DK, thanks for the 7 months. Demo Man 63 with the 14. Thank you. Woodster with the 13. Appreciate that. So anyways, that's what I learned about the Tokon beta. I didn't figure out any of that on my own. That's for sure. All right, guys, let me take a quick break here. I'll be right back. Give me a minute or two. BRB with more. Thanks for watching, guys. Okay. What did I miss? When's JoJo? Soon. I gotta walk him after the stream. This guy has 8 sticks and none of them work. Okay. How do you guys feel about kava? We had a little bit of kava for lunch. This is a lavender blueberry tea. It's decent. It was included free, apparently. Did I get a chance to try a Quamba Sapphire? Is it good? I don't think I played that. What is that? Is that their leverless? I'm usually not a sweet tea kind of guy. I go for diet soda or coffee. Usually what I go for. I just recently got my first leverless. It is whack. Your first leverless is whack because of what you got, or just leverless, the experience of playing on a leverless is whack? Yeah, you're gonna suck ass at it. So many people are like, wow, leverless is so broken. You're gonna suck for a very long time until you go cold turkey and commit to learning it. And you have to be bad. You're just gonna have to be bad for a long time. When do we get a pickle emote, by the way? You guys think I do emotes? Nearly all of my emotes were just like, Brian, here's an emote. And I go, okay. If someone made me an emote, I would probably just put it on there. I have a lot of emote slots available. Emotes are one of those things where I have zero creative or energy or mental bandwidth to apply to. I don't think about emotes. I don't use emotes. So like if someone made me an emote, I'd probably just upload it. But I don't actually make emotes. It's not part of what I think about. Acting like you've never used COT. I'll use a COT if everyone else in the channel is spamming a COT. But also, I don't really watch Twitch hardly anymore. In the past couple of years, I probably got to watch more Twitch just to stay up to date on what's going on. But I literally don't watch Twitch anymore. I watch YouTube. My own viewing habits have completely changed. So one of my favorite YouTube series is the Fighting Game is Broken, fill in the blank YouTube series. So it started off with Super Turbo is Broken by Guile Winquote. And I really like this format because they use a little bit of hyperbole in the title to draw you in. But really what these videos are is a love letter to the games and their mechanics and what makes them really interesting. And Guile Winquote really started the trend with Super Turbo is Broken. He also went on to do Third Strike is Broken. And I've thoroughly enjoyed these videos. And it's kind of like pop FGC trivia about the game design of these games. And it really appeals to a wide audience. So when the mantle was picking up by Big Lightning here with Ultra Street Fighter 4 is Broken for covering the Street Fighter series. And this was a good video. I enjoyed it. And now we have the latest entry, Street Fighter 5 is Broken. And despite what this watch time bar will tell you, I watched about 5 seconds of it and stopped because I figured this is the game where I finally have enough of enough experience and enough expertise to offer some insight to. Street Fighter 4 is Broken. I could have commentated on this one as well, but this game, I put a lot of time publicly documented on stream into this game. I spoke to Big Lightning and I said, hey, would you mind if I did a live reaction to this? And he said, please go ahead. I would love to hear your comments on it. So we're going to go ahead and watch, is Street Fighter 5 broken or not? And see what Big Lightning has to say about Street Fighter V, a game that for many people is the reason why you're even watching this stream or watching this channel at all. So let's get into it. Street Fighter V released in 2016. Expertly evolved the genre with cool mechanics and characters. Most players still look back on it fondly as a true peak of Street Fighter. Yeah. This is where I stopped the video the first time. This is where I stopped the video the first time. Man, it's 2025, and we still can't get past Year 1 Street Fighter V. Nearly a decade later, and all we can talk about is Year 1 Street Fighter V. This is why I say first impressions are too powerful. They're too powerful. Way too powerful. I actually have many nice things to say about this game. I have many nice things to say about this game. If you were to talk about Season 1 Street Fighter V, then absolutely. Absolutely, Season 1 Street Fighter V was an abomination and grounds potentially for a class action lawsuit, sort of like Cyberpunk. You know what I mean? I feel like the customer was deceived and defrauded by Season 1 Street Fighter V. They sold a product at far too high of a price with far too little content that was barely functional, right? I do believe that about Season 1 of Street Fighter V. However, with the constant patches and updates and content DLCs delivered to the game, by 2020, the game was really good. And I think Endgame Street Fighter V is one of my favorite iterations of Street Fighter, period. And I really enjoy the characters they added towards the second half of the game's lifespan and the different playstyles and unique mechanics those characters had. So I really feel like Street Fighter V was very good. And the neutral for Endgame Street Fighter V was some of the best neutral in any Street Fighter that I played. I really enjoyed Endgame Street Fighter V. But that first impression will last forever. And people who played early Street Fighter V, Season 1 and Season 2, I feel like Season 3 definitely had a lot of downsides as well. Season 4 and beyond I thought were great. But this is going to be the impression forever of this game. So it's missing some nuance here. I have plenty of nice things to say about the game. And I don't know if they, in this video, they talk about the different iterations of the game. And now it's one of the weird things about, you know, the DLC and patch era. You can't go back easily to those different versions of the game, which were very, very different per season. In Street Fighter 4, you could go to the Ultimate Street Fighter 4 version of the game, and you had Edition Select. So you can actually go to the major patches very easily, which preserved the history of the game. That is not the case for Street Fighter V. Season 1 was a completely different beast from the final season. Completely different. So we'll see what they get into in this video. Rush counters. A very divisive mechanic. Very divisive. What up, Daniel? Yeah, they were strong pokes. Almost always lead to a strong combo. Were there any crush counters that were just bad? Generally, most crush counters were strong pokes, and they did lead to strong combos. Yes, that was often the draw of the vast majority of crush counters. They also had different knockback effects depending on the style, right? There was the spin out crush counters like this, which caused the grounded spin for a full combo. Some of them caused the aerial tail spin, which had more situational pickup confirms. But generally, they all led to decent combos. Some of them weaker than others. Sometimes, like an Ibuki Sin heavy kick would only grant you like a light DP or something of that sort. And on top of that, I think we'll get into it. The crush counters had priority because there was a strength priority system in the game where a medium had priority over a light and a heavy had priority over a medium. So crush counters also ended up beating out other normals more often because instead of trading on the same frame, they would have priority. And there was a lot of grief around crush counters, especially early on, because there wasn't different things that applied to the crush counter that they added later on to nerf their effectiveness. They continuously added more and more scaling to combos started with crush counters as the season went on. And also they increased things like V-trigger cancel scaling as the seasons went on, which meant that you wouldn't just die from a crush counter in more situations, But in season 1, you could just die. Like 60% of your life gone out of nowhere from a crush counter that was spammed in a high input delay environment. So this was definitely a big point of contention for a lot of people getting into Street Fighter V that I think got ironed out. And also they started to add more and more recovery and increased hurt boxes on these normals later on in the game. But in early seasons, yeah, people were spamming these moves and getting big wins, just spamming them for sure. Hey, what up, Big Lightning? It's time. We're going through it. Was Street Fighter V bad the whole time? No. Was Street Fighter V also the worst melee Street Fighter game ever? Also, yes. I firmly disagree. Also, Street Fighter 1 is right there, brother. Firmly disagree. I think Street Fighter V was actually fucking amazing at the end. What's worse is that some oppressive pressure normals can crush counter. Well, that's a matter of perspective, I think. Yeah, definitely big punish counter sort of starter option. So this was the precursor to the punish counter mechanic. And they started adding things like counter hit recovery on uppercuts and reversals so that you could get your crush counter to punish reversals. That sort of concept of counter hit recovery, which eventually became punish counter, was present in the reversal system of Street Fighter V, which I believe was added. That wasn't in season 1. They added this recovery of counter hit recovery to reversals later on because they kept nerfing reversals as time went on. And so when they added that, your crush counter became a huge combo starter when you would punish an invincible reversal. Characters without good crush counters typically struggle with a lot of poking. These moves are insanely strong and dominate the neutral. Nah, I disagree. This is a season 1 ass take. This is a season 1 ass take. This is the best characters in the game at the end were characters like Luke, Dhalsim, and Poison. I disagree here. They were kind of bad. Yeah, all these examples, by the way, this Urien Heavy Punch was severely nerfed as well, had increased hurt boxes also. Abigail had increased hurt boxes. Characters like Cammy were really good also, which didn't have good crush counters. This move was insanely whiff punishable by the end. This was busted in season 3, though. That's the problem with these kind of perspectives, right? This move was extremely broken at one point. Super broken. But by the end of the game, this move was a free, massive whiff punish combo. Massive. This was a huge liability to press because all these moves that had these problems originally, season by season, they kept nerfing by adding recovery and extended hurt boxes. And also, like I mentioned before, the scaling on how these moves would operate when you actually got the hit was the reward was constantly nerfed and nerfed as well. Bison down forward heavy might have been annoying as fuck the whole time, though. That move was hella annoying. Yeah, priority system. Yeah. Yeah, the frame data was designed around this so that you can structure your strings differently. I have mixed opinions on the priority system because to me, the priority system is also baked into the frame data. Your frame traps are essentially designed around the priority system because it almost in effect makes it so that your medium or heavy buttons hit a frame sooner. I think in the end, it added unnecessary complexity to the frame data design, but it did allow you to design different types of frame traps and how you structure the frame data. Because in a situation where a medium would normally trade, instead you would get a clean counter hit, that could allow you to leave a certain normal not as plus, but still allow for an effective frame trap. So it did influence kind of how you could design the game. I can't think of a great example of how that would make a big impact off the top of my head, but a lot of people didn't jive with this system up front, and I do agree it compounded the initial issues with crush counters for sure, because you wouldn't your crush counters would just win instead of trading in a lot of situations. So they got rid of this system in Street Fighter 6, but I'm a little mixed on it. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing, but it adds a weird level of complexity, and it's a weird layer that a lot of people don't jive with when they look at it. But I do think it allows you to create frame trap strings, but also limit the plus frames at the same time. A move can be less plus, which means you have less options to stagger with or to go for tick throw pressure, but it can still then allow a clean frame trap where without the priority system, you would trade instead of getting that clean frame trap. So it just changes how you structure the pressure, in my opinion. Kind of depends on your perspective here. Netcode was a huge issue. That one always makes me laugh. I have a clip just like this. I literally have a clip just like this. I have one also with Ryu where he does like a donkey kick or some forward advancing move, and it cancels, and he goes into like a demon flip and lands on me. I have a clip just like that. Now, I think what happened here, Street Fighter 5 Netcode was really bad because it failed to handle the most common scenario, which was PS4 Wi-Fi. Something fundamentally about the netcode just did not operate correctly for lower spec hardware and Wi-Fi, because the moment you got desynced, it failed to resync the netcode. It failed to resync the two clients. In the end, in the post-COVID era, the competitive scene I felt like was really stable on PC-only hardwire connections in region-locked tournaments. So the problem is you had to do all these layers to ensure a good experience. So 2020 and beyond, we had a lot of constant online tournaments, and I felt like they were extremely good. And the input delay on PC was significantly lower than on PS4. And what ended up happening is the PC online tournaments started to feel more competitive in some situations than PS4 offline tournaments, which was nuts. This is when the big divide between optimized PC and PS4 really began, which has extended into the Street Fighter 6 era. So pre-COVID, for the competitive player base and the average player base, like the more casual fans, you were mixed with a lot of people on PS4 Wi-Fi. And PS4, when that overheated, there's a big debate right now if when PS5's overheat, if it causes actual frame slowdowns in Street Fighter 6. And there's some data that suggests that it doesn't, by the way. But PS4 would factually slow down the game if it was overloaded or starting to overheat. You would see the delay, especially if there's a lot of particle effects on screen. If you're doing like M. Bison special moves, which have these constant flame particle effects with the psycho power, you would see a lot of slowdown, which is also why you would see most people would pick training stage, because it would reduce the load on the consoles, leading to better performance. You would pair that PS4 slowdown plus Wi-Fi on this faulty netcode, and it was a shit show. It was a shit show. So there was a lot of problems. The netcode should have been good enough to resolve those issues, but towards the end, the competitive scene figured out how to optimize it for their own experiences. So the end game was fine. But once again, 2016, everyone booting up their PS4, 8 frames of delay baked in before they resolved that in later seasons as well. It was bad. It was bad. Huh. This is interesting. I don't think I ever actually consciously knew this. This is funny. I don't think this matters. Yeah, I don't think this is a... I don't think this makes the game broken. That's an interesting tidbit. That's an interesting tidbit of trivia. This wasn't part of the actual meta. I mean, these jab resets were used, but I didn't know actually that they had to whiff the first jab to do the second chain one to get the juggle. Now, characters and players did use that with certain characters. None of the characters I used ever relied on this, but this was a technique. I guess I thought that was a frame kill. I didn't know that you actually had to do that for the juggle. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, it wasn't a problem. All right. This was a real problem. Yes. This is the real Street Fighter 6 problem. Stop talking about crush counters. Stop talking about all the other bullshit. This is the problem of Street Fighter 5. It was also nerfed. It was nerfed, but this is what makes Street Fighter 5 broken. Single hit confirm lows, to me, were the thing I was the most sick of at the end of Street Fighter 5. I was like, man, I respect the skill for the single hit confirm low, but being glued to down back with the threat of dying from a random crouching medium kick felt really painful. And that's when the monkey paw curled. And now everyone has a crouching medium kick that you don't need to hit confirm that will kill you out of nowhere with drive rush cancel. So that part did not go away. It just got kind of worse and more mindless to use. But this was definitely one of my least favorite parts of the game. Remains broken. Hit confirmable lows were a mistake? Maybe. I might agree with this. It's funny because, like I said, it took skill. You had to have a lot of awareness. I think Karen's was one of the easier ones to hit confirm, and I think you had to have better reactions to get the optimal conversions. And Punk was doing this pre-nerf or pre-buffs to the engine to reduce the input delay. Punk changed the game. Before Punk, there was no one hit confirming Karen crouching medium kick like that on the planet. He really showed the world how Street Fighter V could be played. Because prior to Punk, people swore up and down this game was mash crush counters and rob people. They swore. Like at the beginning of this video insinuated. This was the real truth of the game. Now, later on, other players got better at this, and they also reduced the input delay for the engine, and once we swapped to PC, everybody was hit confirming. I remember after Red Bull Kumite 2021, I was like, man, was this game designed around low input delay on PC? Because when I went back to offline for the first time and we're playing on PC, I'm playing against NL. And NL is hit confirming every single hit Cammy crouching medium kick into drill. And I'm like, wait a minute. That one I think was a 15 frame confirm. It was one of the harder ones. And so I thought to myself, I was like, wait a minute. Were we supposed to be single hit confirming everything? It completely changes the flow of the neutral. You're glued to down back whenever they're in the crouching medium kick range. Very difficult to confirm Cammy's one. And so that was the one where I was like, wait, that's next level. And I was like, did the devs have, was this Ono's vision? You know what I mean? Like, was this what we were supposed to be aiming for? Single hit confirming all these moves? Took a lot of skill and was risky, but it really changed how the game was played towards the end. Secret one frame special cancel and a stand medium kick. Huh. This is trivia. I didn't know anything about this. Guys, this is not meant to be just saying the game is broken in a bad way. It's also just meant to be trivia. Like I said, the title of X is broken is meant to like lure you in. It's meant to just more be a trivia rundown of little tidbits about the game. This character's a mess? I don't know if he's a mess. Did they nerf this move at one point? Dawson was rushing people's asses down with this move. Can't you just jab that? Dawson was top tier in 5, especially at the end. What did they nerf? Remember when Dawson players, all the NA Dawson players were hosting a funeral for Sim? And then he ended up being nerfed into top 1? What did they nerf? They nerfed something about him. He had a, I think they added the forced knockdown air juggle property to him. Was that what it was? But yes, Dalsum had a lot of rushdown potential. This instant air blast was really really strong for pressure. And also he had his EX fireball would allow him to set up all these teleport mixes from almost anywhere on screen, and he could rush down with these types of moves. Had a really good dive kick as well. So he was definitely a menace and a rushdown character for sure. He had both options for zoning and rushdown. This was one of the most busted moves in the game. See, the beginning just lures you guys in. They start talking about crush counters and all this stuff from 2016. These past 3 examples were the problems with endgame Street Fighter V. Hit confirmable lows, Dulcim, and EX heart rate from Poison. Nothing to do with crush counters, everything to do with safe, confirmable, and oppressive ranged options. What about Escape? Full year? Hope you're doing well. Listen, we're taking a trip down memory lane. These are the depths we grinded in Street Fighter V. Get to the EX version. Yeah, so she can mix up the low, the anti-air, and then this this move. Woo-wee. So the combination of her extremely strong heavy punch that you can see here that they're canceling into, that heavy punch was an amazing poke, special cancelable. You can whiff punish it, but it was hard to force to whiff to begin with. You would cancel that into EX heart rate, which was then +2 on block, and you notice the effect, it's pulling you in. So you would activate this on block at a distance, at footsie range. It would pull you in, and suddenly you're in a strike throw mix-up out of nowhere. And if you teched and she frame trapped you, you died. So generally what the meta became here is you would just V-reversal on this to get the knockdown to avoid this. Because otherwise, you're getting grade damage while you're blocking this. I wish they showed the life bars, to be honest. There's grade damage in this game. When you block normals and special moves, your grade damage starts building up. So it's not even like you can just block the whole sequence and let them burn all the EX meter for plus frames. As they're making you block, the next throw is going to do more and more damage. I think they're downplaying the effects of this move right here. Therefore, blocking for longer increases the risk of the next throw that can potentially come from dealing with this sequence. So you can't just block. You're forced to take action at some point. And of course, it's an easy frame trap or an easy throw. Therefore, you often want to spend your meter to V reversal, which means you can no longer use V trigger because you're forced to save your meter, your V meter, for the defensive option, which would eliminate your option to use your offensive sequence. So Poison would drain your resources, either draining your health with the grade damage, or you're forced to spend your offensive comeback potential on knocking her down for defense. And therefore, she could dominate again because she has complete control of the neutral and force you to block and take mix-ups while you are losing all of your defensive and offensive resources in return. Completely destroyed a huge meta of Street Fighter V. Completely destroyed it. Ed was privileged because his V reversal gave him a full punish on this thing. Some characters had the roll through V. Yeah, that's a good point, Broski. Ed could roll through with his V reversal and punish. So some characters had the side swap V reversals. I don't know if Colleen could get a punish. Maybe hers was too slow. But, Colleen and Ed had the rolls. They would roll through. But so there was some matchup specific options available here. But this was a messed up move. Oh, F.A.N.G still had the throw loop. They got rid of throw loops and brought him back for Street Fighter 6. Yo, F.A.N.G was sleeper top tier. You know what? Shout outs to Papa Lobster. Shout outs to Papa Lobster. Shout outs to the Score Esports. But I don't know if Papa Lobster did a video on this. Maybe it was just a Score Esports. How a low tier hero did the impossible with one of Street Fighter's worst characters. This is from CEO 2021. Mono went on to CEO to beat Punk and the first CEO back, maybe 2022, the first CEO back from COVID, and he won over Punk, which was a very big deal. And I understand we gotta make the the thumbnail, the title, the most dramatic and most extreme hook possible to get the views. And overall, 2 million views on this. Overall, a good thing for the FGC. F.A.N.G was not one of the worst characters post 2021. Absolutely not. F.A.N.G was not a bad character. F.A.N.G, whatever he ended up being called, I still don't even know how to say his name. He was not a bad character. This is bullshit. He kept his throw loop when no one else had a throw loop. His pressure was so degenerate. He was very unorthodox and took a lot of expertise to master. Definitely a character specialist character, for sure. But his pressure, he was the biggest pressure monster in the game, had the most unique zoning patterns, crazy mix-up potential, and throw loops. So he was not, by the end of the game, F.A.N.G was not one of the worst characters. Absolutely not. A lot of the issues that plagued him in earlier seasons were nerfed, like all the degenerate crush counter nonsense, which ended up stabilizing his defense, which made him a lot more viable as well. And he kept getting buffs. And he kept his throw loop, so yeah. Okay. Big Lightning knows ball. He knows ball. We're complaining about Sakura stand light kick? Facts. Y'all won me over with this one. Okay. You're gonna complain about some stand light kick? I'm with you on this one. Let's go. This light is longer than almost all of her mediums and heavies. Busted. Hold on. We gotta. Where's my Hold on. Listen, I've been on this for quite some time. 4 years. I'm ahead of the game here. Double A and I have cooked up some legendary thumbnails in our time. I've seen this thumbnail pop up as a meme so many times randomly, like completely leaving its intended audience. I've been ahead of the game on this one. Yeah, this standing light kick was massive range. 4-frame startup. Woo! Yeah, they didn't bring up the specific example, I think, of what makes it so good. At that range, at being 4-frame startup, it would punish things that most of the cast could not punish. So the reason why, as a Balrog player specifically, I hated that move, it made using dash punch, which was -4 on block, nearly impossible. From ranges where pretty much it would be safe against the entire cast, Sakura would block and get a punish to light kick, buffered into DP, which caused a knockdown. And Sakura's walk speed was really good, so it was so easy for Sakura to walk in and out of ranges to either make dash punch whiff or walk into range to block it so that it was punishable on block. So it essentially made that move almost impossible to use against Sakura. So that was like one of my biggest complaints in endgame Street Fighter V. It was so annoying as a ROG player to fight Sakura. Super strong move, that stand light kick. This definitely seems like it's more of a season 1 opinion. Tap. Okay. Let's see, from what season are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about with Street Fighter V. You'd have to make one of these per season. Let's see what they say. Because this move, you could do an hour-long retrospective about Season 2 Balrog, for sure. The downplay begins? What are you talking about? No, there's no downplay, but it depends on what season they choose. Let's see. Yeah, final was funny.
Fuck here. No. And both players near 50%.
Yeah, and no resources for LPN.
Oh, the air though.
Oh, the turnaround punch! Oh, the
This is a classic. But you are lacking some context. You are lacking some major context there. That used to be Season 2 ROG. What happened there? So, this is Season 2. In Season 2, ROG's tap was so broken because they changed the properties of tap. Pre-Season 2 and post-Season 2, tap was -2 on block no matter how long you held it. There's different levels of tap. As you went through the different levels, they gained different properties. In Season 2, they went buck wild, giving unique buffs to every single level of tap, and every few seconds you charged it by holding 2 attack buttons would be a different level. For some reason, usually it was just like, hey, if you get to level 4, you start doing some more damage, level 5, some more damage, and then final tap, level 10, that one will be invincible if you held it for nearly 60 seconds, cause a wall bounce, and kill them, because you're literally playing for 60 seconds without using 2 of your moves, and you have to land it one time when you release the 2 buttons. So it was kind of a gimmick, right? In Season 2, they said, you know what? For each level, we're going to make it a little less negative on block. And you know what? If you hit level 4, if you hit level 3, 4 seconds or so, I think it was, if our memory serves correct, it's 0 on block. If you hit level 4, suddenly it's +1 on block. And so on and so forth. And tap was throw invincible. Meaning it was a reversal against throws. So think about that. If you have a level 4 tap stocked up and they go for pressure, they go for a throw, you could do level 4 tap and it would punish them for going for the throw. And if they didn't meaty you or just blocked or they whiffed a move because it had a hurt box shifting when it reeled back, you would be plus on block. And if you had V-trigger, you could V-trigger cancel and kill them because there was no V-trigger cancel scaling. And if you hit like level 6, it started to cause an air spin and so on and so forth. The properties just kept compounding. So in Season 2, everyone was holding tap all the time because you could constantly drop these plus on block taps that could approach. You can even just use it to get in. So you were constantly using tap. This was taken to the extreme where Javi here, right? It was Javi. He held tap for the entire time. See, it's 28 seconds on the clock. He was holding tap from round start. This is 60, 70 seconds in the making. He held tap this entire time, played without 2 buttons. This air reset occurred, and then he has now a fully invincible reversal that would beat throws. So if LPN went for a throw here, he for sure would beat it. But at I believe level 8 or 9 or 10, it was just fully invincible. I forget the properties of when they started adding more and more invincibility. LPN goes for a meaty. ROG doesn't have a traditional invincible reversal, so he's not expecting his meaty to whiff. It whiffs, and LPN doesn't realize he's not in block stun. He's probably trying to hold forward here and walk in for a tick grab, and his button just whiffs, and he walks face first into a final tap. And it counter hits. Yeah, he's going for a grab. You see that? He's going for a tick grab, and it just counter hits the shit out of him, and he dies. You stop seeing that after Season 2, because from that point forward, they're like, wait a minute, we gave Balrog a nuke, and we got to get rid of that. So after Season 2, they all went back to -2 on block, except for final tap. Only if you held final tap all the way for 60 seconds would you get frame advantage on block, and it would no longer be throw invincible. So they got rid of all of that crap, and then they left some advantage. They left some goofy shit for final tap because you had to really commit to final tap. So only until Pugera started using V-Skill 2 ROG did you see final tap ever pop up again. It stopped being a thing. But Season 2 Balrog was a tap machine, and it was absolutely broken. Absolutely broken. So that's why you saw that clip. No one was holding tap like that until Season 2, and that disappeared. So it was a really weird time. So that was not, you would not see that in Endgame Street Fighter 5, and if someone did hit you with the final tap in Endgame Street Fighter 5, which did do the wall splat and big damage, they really committed to not playing the game for 60 seconds. It was like it was a big gimmick, and it was a funny thing because they really fucking committed to it for a lot of downsides. So Season 2 ROG was a different beast, though. Yeah, Fire and Ice, Retribution. It was a cool system. This combo game is very good. V-Shift did mess up this mix a decent amount. I think there were still possibilities to deal with V-Shift, but without the hard knockdown potential there, it became kind of problematic for him. Yeah, he doesn't. That is a fair complaint. So because of the retribution system, he didn't have any crush counters, because the idea being you needed to apply the effect and then the fire of the ice and then hit him with the opposite effect in order to get the crush counter style conversion, essentially, which was a cool gimmick. But I could see an argument for that making him more situational and therefore a little bit weaker than some of the cast comparatively. I would argue, though, that the big problem was his shit lights. Like, to me, yeah, I think the big problem was this. I think his gimmick worked. The problem was his frame data was terrible. Yeah, I agree with Broski. I think his frame data was bad, and I think his lights having no range was horrible. So his medium was good. His crouching medium punch was amazing. He had a 3-frame, but it was garbage. Where Urien had no 3-frame, but his 4-frame was amazing. So I think that was the bigger problem. I think the emphasis of the crush counters is definitely overblown. Not having crush counters makes his entire game plan a struggle. I don't know if I agree with that. I think it's the lights. Also, you could still play him. You could still play him, and you even saw Nemo doing some work with Gil at high levels. I don't think he was weaker for sure, but I don't think he was unplayable. I don't think he was unplayable. I think this is a bit overblown, in my opinion. And he's a cool character. I think Street Fighter V had a lot of really cool characters with unique effects. He could have been better, for sure. Yeah, this move was stupid. This move was very dumb. This is like what Balrog... This is what Balrog pre-tap used to be, or pre-nerf tap used to be. This is almost effectively what it was. At least it cost meter, unlike Balrog tap, but essentially they brought back tap in spirit, Season 2 tap in spirit with this move, which proved the degeneracy of it, right? So this is another move where you hold 2 buttons to build it up, and you hold, I believe, 3 buttons for the EX version, and you just got in. And Cody had a really amazing neutral on top of this. Almost like a combination of tap and Poison's EX heart rate. You were forced to V-reversal against this character, and it would just drain your resources. Oh yeah, the level 2? I forgot about this. I forgot about this. This really was EX tap. Yeah, the wall bounce you got, I forgot about this, man. This shit was bullshit. It was super fast, came out of nowhere. At least tap had slower startup, like you could see it, the bomb approaching and block it. This thing would jump scare you. Look how fast it is. Dude, what? It's a jump scare. At least if it had slower startup, you could react and see it and block. You would literally just get sniped by this out of nowhere and die. You would get sniped by this out of nowhere and die. This was a problem that never got resolved. This should not have been like that. They should have nerfed the startup or something. Either get rid of the plus frames or nerf the startup. It was too fast. Way too fast. Yeah, definitely a bullshit move. And Cody was so solid even without this move. One of the best characters by the end of Street Fighter V. Lariat was dumb, yes. The story of how you can buff one character over and over through one degenerate move. Okay. I like the history lesson here. Yep. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. Thank you, Big Lightning. You cannot do a Street Fighter V retrospective without dragging it through the seasons, at least to some degree, or being very specific about endgame versus the beginning. This game went through massive changes. And maybe the Street Fighter 6 audience doesn't understand. If you combine every single patch that Street Fighter 6 has received in all 3 years it's been out, it does not come close to the number of changes as one balance patch from Street Fighter 5. Maybe Street Fighter 6 heads don't understand, but we used to get massive, yearly, massive, detailed, complete changes to characters. New moves, new properties, it used to be a big moment every year. End of the CPT season, boom, that patch hits like crack. Like, oh shit, let's go. Well, it's Christmas. Either I got a fucking present under the tree or I got coal in my stockings. What's it gonna be, right? It used to be a big, massive change. And that, yeah, it can be argued because the game really needed it. That's definitely a factor. Street Fighter 6 came out so complete and so like intertwined with its mechanics. It's a house of cards they don't want to mess with. This game, they messed with it a lot, constantly. So you can't really talk about any you can't do a retrospective of the game at any point without specifying the moment in time you're talking about the game. Lariat got buffed every single season, and by the end it was such a one-note obnoxious move. So by the end of the game's lifespan, I would argue Alex was actually a really good character without the Lariat buffs. It had a similar problem with Ed. Ed, they kept buffing Flicker because he was a fundamentally poor character. And by the end of the season, by the end of the game's lifespan, they resolved so many other issues with Ed, but they also made Flicker the most degenerate one-note move in the game. And then they added the OD extension version on top of it, which ended up just giving Ed massive combo damage and corner carry. But that would have made sense for the initial release version of Ed. But by the time they gave him that super degenerate centralizing move, he was already a well-rounded character. This also happened to Alex. They kept buffing Lariat, but also slowly making him a more well-rounded character. And by the end, he was well-rounded, but also had this busted-ass Lariat. I don't think the rest of Alex is bad by the end at all. Plus 4 into command grab. Yep. Combos on hit. Command grab mix on block. Massive crush counter. The rest of him is as good as Lariat? No. Okay, I like the juxtaposition here. Okay. Every time I think you're out Big Lightning, you bring me back in. I like... Good call. This is the same issue. This move deserves an award for how brainless it is. Facts. Wasn't it -2? I think they buffed it to -2. I don't think it's -3 in the final version. If I remember correctly, it's -2. So this move was a mash move on block. It used to be -4, I believe. At least -3, but maybe -4, because you could punish this originally when it first released. It might have been -3 and only 3-frame jab characters can punish, but I can't remember. So maybe someone in the chat can correct me. But it was punishable. Then they kept increasing the pushback to make it harder to punish, so you could space it. Then they increased the pushback, but also made it safe on block to begin with, so that you couldn't even take your turn back. Then at the very end of the game's lifespan, it got to the point where you could just spam this move multiple times in a row, and people would get frame trapped by it, because it had so much pushback that it was ambiguous what move you could press to force him into block stun to stop mashing it, and it would just happen over and over again. And if it hit, you could extend with the EX extension into a full knockdown. Yeah, -2 at the end. Yeah, see the pushback? Oh my god. This is probably not even the best example. Yeah, you see how you got the EX version of it? I hope he pulls up the clip of Ending Walker versus Fudo. Mika's ass. Where are you going with that one? Yeah, this example he pulled up quickly of the Punk versus Ending Walker is not even the best part of it. So this is a good example, right? Just kind of 1, 2, 3, jab 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The spacing, trap, and timing made it almost impossible to take your turn back. But I saw Ending Walker in the final Topanga League Worlds for Street Fighter 5 before Street Fighter 6 came out. He mashed this move at least 5 times in a row on Fudo. I'm not jab into it, not a different variation. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. And it's that good against the best players on the planet. Yeah, they nerfed Mika's ass slap. What does it say? First and foremost, it's a product still in development, so things get tweaked as we go along. If something could be considered going too far, though, you might have to scale things back. We work very closely with the ESRB to make sure we're a teen-rated franchise, and that's the primary driving factor, he said. There it is, right from the source. Capcom felt that the sequences in question could be considered a threat to the game's teen rating. This was nerfed after Season 1, though. They adjusted the camera angle in Season 2. Am I remembering correctly? I think this was in the game for Evo 2016 when Mika was like top 1 in the game was the first season. It was before launch. Okay, it was before launch. They're from beta. Okay. Well, they made a good call because I don't know, would this had made it onto to ESPN for that first Evo? The 2016 Evo was on ESPN. I'm not going to freeze frame whatever that was. That's weird that it doesn't work on every kick. They saw Esports World Cup coming. Maybe. Yeah, Tundra Storm versus Rog. Classic. I would disagree. That's one of the worst moves in the game. I think that move inspired a complete psychopathic army of Zangief mains to express their gambling addiction through this character. There's an army of Zangief players out there that have no desire to develop a solid skill set and to win consistently. Their only goal is to fish for dumb clips to post on Twitter and Reddit and highlight that one moment out of a million where whatever stupid gamble they went for worked out. So in my view, that move was probably a big win for Capcom. I think it still exists in Street Fighter 6 today. Oh, Blanca time stop. This is actually broken, but they nerfed this within a week. This existed for a very short period of time. People would go into ranked and do this for a very short period of time. And then it was removed from the game because it was a glitch. Abigail used to be a menace, has since been humbled to bottom 1. Bottom 1? Bottom 1. He definitely wasn't great or good in the last season. Bottom 1? You think Abigail's bottom 1, broski? I would also go on to reiterate, this game was fairly balanced. There was definitely tiers, and there was definitely an S tier, and but once again, past in the Street Fighter era and beyond, like the tiers are mostly compressed from prior years. There's no like complete joke gimmick characters. That doesn't exist anymore. So even if the character is tied in the bottom 1 tier, you can still lose to them. Dan was not that bad in this game. Dan was pretty good. He was not a joke character. Dan actually had like joke properties in Street Fighter 4. He had just horrible hitboxes and frame data. Dan was a real legit and kind of cool character in Street Fighter 5. Dan was really cool in Street Fighter 5. So he could have been tied for bottom 1. You can make that argument. Doesn't mean you wouldn't get your ass beat by an Abigail. He did have a problem with jump-ins. You needed to use the V-skill parry for the jump-ins. Yeah, but that could be exploited. Yep, that's fair. Yeah, the strategy with Oro against Abigail was just jump heavy punch over and over. And sometimes what would happen is you would jump in the front with Oro jump heavy punch, and he would activate the parry, and you would just phase through behind him, and it would whiff. Oh, they made that unsafe, right? I forgot they did that. That's fair. -4 was definitely an important frame data marker. Okay, but you're not gonna hold on. You're not gonna go into EX Abigail punch there and not talk about activating V trigger, right? This is definitely the Abigail main section. This is okay. You gotta slow down here. You gotta slow down here. Absolutely garbage with no redeeming qualities. You didn't talk about V trigger once. You talk about V trigger too? Seth V School 1 was so sick. Seth was such a sick character in Street Fighter V. I really want to reiterate how interesting the final cast of characters was in this game. Starting with Gil, Seth, Dan, Rose, Oro, and I don't think I'm missing any other characters. They really knocked it out of the park in the end. Yeah, I think that's the complete list of characters for the final stretch of Street Fighter V. And they really knocked it out of the park. They all had really interesting character-specific mechanics, interesting playstyles, and they were good. Like they were decent at the game. So, I mean, Seth was broken on release. They had to nerf the axe kick and everything. And they had to buff up Rose and Oro. But they made them pretty viable all at the end, decent strength, and I think they were really, really interesting. And Seth V-Skill 1 was so fun to play with. Pre-nerf Seth was degenerate as fuck. His axe kick was absolutely broken in top 1, so all you would do is axe kick, so that was a problem. They did not nail the balance on release with that. But once they nerfed that and they nailed the balance, Seth was really technical and really cheap in the right moments, but also extremely expressive and had a lot of character and matchup specific tech to make the character very interesting. Yeah, that was a really cool move. Really cool to start learning these unique character-specific combo extensions. Yeah, dude, axe kick extensions, Menat V-Trigger or Menat V-Skill. There we go. There we go. Let's see it. Send it out. Bring it back in. You're looping them. Let's go. I landed this combo in ranked, the full version in ranked one day. I have a clip of that. I was so happy to finally land it. It was a good V-Skill. Character was a lot of fun. I really dislike long-ass combos like that. Well, that's fair. People have different tastes. I really enjoy that kind of a combo. But you have to remember that that combo required Seth to land the V-Skill and then required Seth to get the conversion near the corner, right? There's like 2 layers of requirements that made that situation extremely rare. So it's not like they landed a low forward driver's cancel from any hit, put you in the corner, and rinse and repeat the same sequence without any matchup specific knowledge or situational confirmation, right? So that kind of a combo you would see 1 in 1,000 times. You have to see that specific matchup first of all. Then you have to see a player good enough to know the combo, and then also to have the V skill stored and also land the hits in the corner as well. There's so many layers of requirements that it becomes like a really niche application, so that when you finally see it, you're like, oh shit, it all came together, right? So I think that is a big defining factor for long combos. And Seth, I think, dialed that in, right? I think the problem with long combos is often like when every single hit converts into a similar looking extremely long combo. Yeah, it's a problem. And I think, honestly, Street Fighter 6 has that problem. Yeah. I don't remember this V skill too. I don't remember this V skill too at all. Okay, I knew about the run follow-up. That was actually pretty decent. People use that, but I don't remember the air version of it at all. I really don't remember that. Hold up. Okay. So first of all, this is a pretty important note to make. Post season 1, this is what I'm saying. We got to do a retrospective of Street Fighter 5 season by season, because so much of this game has determined the legacy and the game philosophy of Street Fighter going forward for the franchise, including Street Fighter 6, right? We don't have meterless reversals in Street Fighter 6 because of Street Fighter 5. This was not implemented on release. This was post season 1 into season 2. They got rid of meterless invincible reversals. In season 2, suddenly your non-meter DP no longer was invincible. You had to spend EX. That was a massive change. Very controversial. Very controversial even to this day. Personally, in the context of Street Fighter 5, I thought it was a great change. I thought that change was great because throw loops were in the game, and the way offense was structured, especially in the early seasons, was so oppressive that it created such a have and have nots situation where you had to have an invincible reversal, meterless, in order to play the game. So I thought that, like, dude, that was a great change. Obviously, this move was insanely broken. I decided it was cool to showcase one of the few reversals in the game that didn't require meter. Sure, but here's what I'm thinking, and I don't remember that accurately. This V-Skill 2 was annoying, but couldn't you OS this pretty consistently? You had to learn the matchup pretty well, but wasn't there a lot of situations? I can't remember. I had to learn, like, when Metro M started cooking everyone in the East Coast with Vega V-Skill 2. I think we started to all, like, learn the matchup and start to understand how to stop this, because it doesn't run out of invincibility at some point. No one knew that this V-Skill was going to be good. Then Metro M started blowing everybody up out of nowhere in the East Coast, and I think we all had to start to learn the matchup. I think I used to OS this with Balrog's uppercut move. So this was this required matchup knowledge to stop. You could stop this. Backs. Yeah. Cartwheel after the anti-air. And then you get mixed. No parry to save you there. Okay, let's go. Actual God V-Skill. Dan was a beast in this game. What a creative take on the character, right? Like, this V-Skill that allowed him to cancel his normals into each other, enhanced his pressure to crazy degrees, was extremely unique, had a bit of execution requirement, was risky in case you messed up the pressure, and it fit perfectly into his character. It fit perfectly into his character. It made him super strong. But if you messed it up, you would do a stupid taunt move and get punished. And it was goofy and oppressive. Like, I don't know. I feel like that the Street Fighter V take on Dan is so good, not just from a gameplay design, but from a character design. Really, really great character, in my opinion.
Here you go. Yep, right here.
Cody was such a problem, dude. He really was one of the best characters in the game. S tier for sure at the end. Sway shut down a lot of fireballs. I forgot about that. Playing against Cody with Oro was so painful. Cody stand MK, yeah, great buttons. Just like he was too solid to have all these messed up moves on top of that. This V-trigger was scary as hell, but it was kind of cool. Like, at least he had all these unique mechanics, right? Hold on, before we go even further, this doesn't touch on the whole concept of V-trigger as a whole. So many people to this day, this isn't just a 2016 perspective video, because if this was a 2016 perspective video, the first line would have been, characters in Street Fighter V lose half their special moves until they activate V-trigger to have them for a few seconds. Where did that catchphrase, where did that canned response, canned criticism, that talking point from Street Fighter V originate? Is that what it's going to say? On what fucking planet do you want Cody to permanently have a pipe that he beats the shit out of you with, kicks rocks around, and command grabs you into the air and does 50% of your stun bar out of nowhere? On what planet is that something that he should have access to at all times without being tied to a resource? I'm sorry, that blanket criticism of Street Fighter V saying it locked special moves, like important parts of characters' movesets behind V-trigger, I think is a complete unfair mischaracterization. Complete mischaracterization. You wanted Balrog to be able to infinitely dash punch people? Yeah, I think Balrog is cool, but it sucks that he can't just do dash punch into 5 Rekka follow-ups forever. What game are you talking about? What game are you talking about? Yeah, Ryu's cool, but his fireball should be unblockable forever. That sounds sick. That's because you want to play a game for 30 minutes and never go back to it ever again once people start hitting you with bullshit permanently. That's the kind of take that you have from an audience that is actually not going to play the game more than 30 minutes. It's from a casual audience who wants to see big, flashy move and then move on because the game will be broken as fuck and won't be fun when you start getting hit by all the bullshit from people who actually practice more than you and you never get to play. And that game is DNF Duel. I love DNF Duel. Open your Steam account right now. Let me hear the last play date and the total hours. Right now. Because listen, I loved me some DNF Duel for that first couple weeks. I loved it. And then by the time I got hit by that Swift Master combo for the 100th time, I said, yeah, DNF Duel was a lot of fun. I switched to that past tense immediately. There was a grammatical shift in the way I described that game. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? 98 hours in 2024. June 18th, 2024, 43 hours. Yeah, it was. That's a good time. I'm just telling you, if you're going to make a degenerate, high character power game, for the most part, you're going to lose a lot of consistency in your player base. You're going to lose it real quick. Voyevo, thanks for the prime. Unless you manage to nail that balance, which is extremely hard. Games have done it. I mean, look at like a Marvel game, right? Marvel managed to toe that line. But I'm just saying, I think it's okay for certain techniques to be locked behind resources so that you can have a taste of the power without having it be too degenerate, which drives people away. Yeah, this was messed up. Oh my god. You wanted Cody to be doing the rock mix-ups? I forgot about the fucking hard knockdown from the command grab. No, I forgot about this. Toss the rock up, it would hit you meaty, or he goes for another command grab. Oh god. And this did so much stun, by the way. Messed up. Messed up. But to me, that's okay to have sometimes. G's V-Trigger 1 might have been the example of that people hated the most, though, for having bullshit V-Trigger activations. I love G, sick character. But his low activation was very bad, very degenerate. Can someone remind me, did they nerf his activation so that you could V-reversal on one of them? Did they ever change the properties? So the low was the least advantageous. So I think you could V-reversal and you wouldn't eat a command grab, if I remember correctly. And then the mid one, EX Rush Punch, had more advantage, so you couldn't V-reversal. But did they ever change the activation to make it less effective, like the frame properties? I feel like there was a patch that limited that. Can't remember. Yeah, he could throw the V-reversal on the low with regular grab, but it was worth the risk-reward because it wouldn't be a command grab. But I think on the mid, EX Rush Punch mid, you could still command grab you. They made EX low activate only like +4, but wasn't it always +4, or did they nerf that to be +4? Because I remember the +4 activation and the risk-reward options there, but I don't remember if it was always like that. It got nerfed to that? Okay, right, that makes sense. Yeah, so they nerfed it so that you could V-reversal safely the low one and only eat a regular grab, which was pretty good. Okay, that's what they did, yeah. But that was one of the big talking points. Exactly, +10 on the mid. You hold the command grab or hit confirm. You don't even have to do that. You could just do heavy punch. On this +10 here on the activation, you would just press heavy punch, and if they tried to jump, it would keep them grounded, and it's an easy hit confirm into the rush punch. So you would just press it, and it was safe on block. And you wouldn't have to waste your V-trigger timer by confirming into the special. If it hit, you would just do nothing, or do like fireball into something for a block string. So you can get massive damage here. Just heavy punch, hit confirm, or command grab. 50-50 for the game. Is Cryny? Thanks for that fresh prime. Appreciate it. You can do heavy punch into heavy punch, right, Daniel? You just do it twice. I love this character. G was one of the best additions to Street Fighter 5 for sure. Like,
Oh well, if you can't beat them, join them.
we need more dumb, goofy characters like G. What is G about? He's just about being the president of Earth. And that's all you gotta know. That's all you gotta fucking know, baby. He's just committed to the bit. Why? What's his motivation? What's his platform? What's he running for? What does he believe in? What are his principles? It doesn't fucking matter, baby. It's Super Tuesday. He's about to light it up, and he's the president of Earth. That's all you got to know. And then give him a sick theme. G's theme was baller.
Bitch, I live in a fucking trash
What's his spaceship about? G was an alien. I'm not joking. G was a fucking alien sent to planet Earth. He's an alien in a spaceship. And when he shoots the ground with his super, he shoots a laser beam into the ground, and that causes magma to shoot from the core of the Earth to assault you. When he does light it up, I'm telling you, this guy is all powerful. And the fact that they don't tell you anything about him makes it so sick. I want more characters like this. Just a complete caricature. Like, there's no depth to him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not meant to be a real character in a real universe. He's a caricature. But it's so sick. I love this shit. He's not written to have any in-depth dialogue. He's just going to be spitting out quotes like he has a pull string on his back, like he's fucking Woody out of Toy Story. You know what I mean? Just baller quotes, catchphrases on demand. And he's just the president of Earth. That's it, man. That's it. Demo Man 63, thanks for the 14. Appreciate that. This is what people were talking about when they call a V-Trigger a robbery mechanic. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But look how sick it is, dude. Listen.
Bitch,
Would you...
I live in a fucking trash can.
You've been hit by this. You've been in the corner, touched by a character, and put to the other corner and died. It could be this. With an instant fuzzy jump light kick into the V-skill orb V-trigger drag down into a full combo conversion. Into the V-trigger activation, into the read on the command grab jump away, into the low, into the meaty fireball whiff to fake you out, into the carrot cancel command grab. Okay, it could be that. Or it can be like low forward drive rush into the corner. I don't know, man. You can, I'm just saying, like, it could just be low forward drive rush. You know, it's gonna happen one way or the other. Who's this? I really did not like Akira in this game. So, yeah. Yeah, Akira was a big misstep in my opinion. I did not like Akira. I did not like her dumb face. I don't like her weird bad posture, her forward head posture. Not a fan. And this V-trigger was busted, and I didn't like it. I think they did pretty good at making the V-triggers a lot more interactive towards the end, and making them not feel as much of like a dumb coin flip robbery. But this one was a coin flip. There was counterplay. You had to figure out a bit of how to deal with the mix-ups and mitigate the risk reward. But I didn't like it. Akira slander from my streamer. I never liked this character. Her and Luke were big missteps in Street Fighter V at the end. But that's just my taste. It's fine. She wasn't the end of the world. This basically became a big mix, you know. Like I said, there were mechanics you could use and ways to mitigate the risk reward, but you really had to know the matchup. It looks cool, yeah, but it was one of those moments where you literally just, she calls it and you just die on a coin flip. The Capcom Cup mix. This character has terrorized all of NA for years. I mean, one person specifically. Let's be real. I mean, there was other good North American Lauras. Mylin was out there doing work.
Bitch, I live in a fucking trash can.
But Idom was fucking us all up for too long with this character. Marine did some work too. She got, who did she get? She got Dogura and Eita. But yeah, this V-Trigger was nuts. The risk reward on this and the flexibility she had for the mix was ridiculous. But like, to be fair to the lores everywhere, it really was only Idom at that level. Really was only Idom. Aegis definitely fell off towards the end. What was the final nail in the coffin? What was the final nerf they gave to it? Didn't they make it so that if you interrupt him, it doesn't leave the mirror out? V-Shift nerfed it, yes. But also, like, if you hit him on the second mirror, it canceled it? Wasn't there a change where it doesn't activate fully if you intercept him? Yeah, you could trade it. So a lot of factors kind of nerfed Urien towards the end, but this was super gnarly pre-V-Shift and pre-nerfs. Are we going to get some stones in here? We haven't seen Oro once yet. I don't even know what this is. Let's see. I've been hit by that before. Yep, it was a pretty good whiff punish tool in anti-air. I think, you know, this V-Trigger was bullshit, but Urien, I think it took a master to understand all the situations you could apply the Aegis. I think it had a really high skill ceiling. The skill floor was maybe a little bit too low. Like, I think that was a problem with a lot of the V-Triggers. The skill floor was a little too low to get really nasty mix. But I think overall it was worth the trade-off, because I think there was a lot of skill expression at the highest level to really maximize the utility. And there's a lot of variation in this character. Yeah, I think you're right, broski. Getting the Aegis activation off of EX Tackle was pretty dumb. Speaking of skill expression, dude, you had to be some kind of freak to figure out Menat's V-Trigger 1. This requires way too much skill for me to learn it for a 20-second video segment. Exactly. 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 You're not just going to learn Menat V-Trigger 1 combos. You're not. The fact that every orb is tied to a negative edge of every strength of button while you have to actually pilot the main character and figure out a way to optimize and sync them together, this had infinite skill expression. And you would see that with people like Sako. This was like one of the last times we saw Sako really be Sako. He was doing things like picking up with raw orb activation, negative edging. That sounds crazy. Using negative edge with the orbs to just like clip them with specific orb releases and then pick up from different conformations with that. So you could like poke and confirm without actually risking any buttons. And yeah, it was just crazy. Like you could not just learn this. You could not pick this up and just do it. You'd have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours to learn these Menat combo routes. Some of these are easier than others, and some of them were insanely hard. So Crazy with the 17, thank you. Shuggy with the 23. Casno with the 34, thanks everybody. Antonius Minotaurus with the full year. Thorum Light. Who's that? Let's go, baby. The GOAT. Oro time. You can get his strongest combos going from almost any starter. Kind of. Highest damage output in the game? Is that true? In an optimal situation, did Oro have the highest damage output? He had among the highest consistent damage output because you could very consistently get into super high damage output. For sure. Was there anyone else who could do more damage in an optimal situation? Yeah, you probably have to include gimmicks. He had a theoretical TOD? No, he didn't. The only people who had theoretical TODs were things like Abigail doing back heavy punch to reflect Dulcim Super. Oh, 5 Game Boys? Okay, well, that's also gimmick territory. Yeah. 5 Game Boys is a 1 in a billion chance of happening. That's not going to happen, really. Or, I guess it did happen. But 5 Game Boys plus an actual optimal starter, that's not going to happen. I think I've gotten 4 Game Boys before, max. Yeah, if you include max RNG, I think that goes to gimmick territory. There's nothing practical you could do to kill. Yes, sir. Instant air chicken feet. These combos were so sick. You gotta respect the stones. DP. Chicken. Who's that? Why is this my legacy? Why is this clip? I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. For some reason, from Street Fighter V, what has lasted into the next generation, the Zoomers have picked up and carried on, is the epic win Urien meme and the rage quit let's go. I don't understand in what circles this started to like generate buzz, but I've seen this clip pop up. Like, usually the only time I see these clips pop up, it's usually from like Strive Twitter. And I mean Strive Twitter in the sense that they're younger, right? It's like the younger generation of FGC people that I think mainly got into the FGC later in COVID era with Strive. And I see this clip all the time. It's not from like the actual people who were in the trenches playing Street Fighter V. It's like the next generation that came for the next wave of FGC titles. And then for some reason, these clips have gone platinum. What happened? All I can imagine is this being shared back and forth on like Discord servers to like talk shit between each other, like with friends, when they're playing sets.
You suck ass. Hold that shit forever. Absolute garbage dumpster tier scrub.
Let's get started with it already.
I send it to people. See, I guess I don't talk to people on Discord, so I don't really understand that culture. But I think that's what's been happening. I think it's like used to like meme with your digital friends in your Discord servers and talk shit. Because when it popped up on Twitter, it's like people recognized it already. And I had not seen it being shared on Twitter. It popped up on Twitter and people were acting like they already knew the clip. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is this still around? You sounded so old there, man. I am old. I'm not fucking hanging out on Discord servers. I don't want to chat with you. What are you talking about?
Tier scrub.
Yeah.
Let's get started
That's
with
what
it
it
already.
is. Luke was a problem. As the final DLC character, Luke was intentionally overtuned to promote Street Fighter 6. Probably. I think that was a theory. That's a theory I put forward as well at the time. That's a theory I think most people ascribe to. That was never proven. Never proven. No comments. There was no actual leads from any of the developers or anything like that. I do believe I talked to Nakamura-san at Capcom Cup 2022, the final one for Street Fighter V. I do believe I got him in the after party a little bit like, hey man, what's up with Luke? I was like, hey man, is Luke strong for a reason? You know, I didn't get any direct confirmation either way or the other, but I feel like he caught my drift, and he's like, maybe. So no actual commentary from the devs on this, but the leading theory is Luke was backported into Street Fighter V because of the delay of Street Fighter VI and all the development issues caused by COVID. He was not intended for Street Fighter V. In fact, the whole final season of Street Fighter V was never intended. So actually, in a weird way, we got a big gift, because I think that final season of Street Fighter V really elevated the game, aside from Luke. But we got characters like Dan, Rose, and Oro out of it, which are 3 of the best characters in Street Fighter V, in my opinion. So in a weird way, we really got a gift. I really enjoyed that final season of Street Fighter V, aside from Luke. And he was backported. His design was already created for Street Fighter VI, and they backported him into Street Fighter V. Yeah, everyone's tier list had Luke as number 1. So as everyone's tier list had Luke as number 1, the big problem was all the top players started to centralize and started to pick Luke. Luke was starting to replace a lot of character specialists, because it was like, why would I play X, Y, or Z character when I could play Luke? That was a big problem with the end game of Street Fighter V. So many varied characters that were super strong, but the problem was Luke was just better at being an all-rounder than everybody else was. Yeah, these forward advancing normals, which were designed for Street Fighter VI. Yep. Balrog's 3-frame was pretty balanced, huh? That's true. Crushing MK was goated. Yep, single hit confirms. I forgot about back medium punch. He doesn't even have this move in Street Fighter 6. Yeah, they haven't even talked about his fireball yet. Hit scan fireballs. This is where it all begins. I mean, there's obviously the trade-off, as you're seeing here, that these projectiles don't go full screen, and they did have slow startup. But you didn't have any way to navigate around the fireballs, or often use traditional anti-fireball tools, because there was no recovery on them and no travel speed. Normally with faster startup but like longer recovery and some travel speed, think about Balrog's V-Skill. You could walk up to the fireball and then V-Skill around it and then punish them. But because his had a really slow startup but then instant travel speed and good recovery, by the time you could get around the projectile, he's already recovered, or you're just getting smacked in the face by it. Even for things like Geef Heavy Punch, which could maybe absorb the projectile and get in, right? Yeah, laser beam that knocked down, and then wait till his V-Trigger 1. It's hit scan? Exaggeration, but it's almost like that. That's an exaggeration. Yeah, his damage was just too high also. I forgot about this. The fireball was designed around parry for sure? Yeah, absolutely. That's a good analysis. It was designed around parry. Yeah, light combos just depleted your life bar out of nowhere. His damage output was insane. Wait, didn't he get his V-trigger back? I forgot about this bullshit. I forgot about this. I forgot about this. Yeah, he loses meter for getting hit, sure. But he gets it back, and the problem is you're not going to hit him because he has V-trigger 1. So the V-trigger 1 was this, like, the best fireball in the game. Or was that V-trigger 2? I forget which one it was. But... yeah, it's definitely drive gauge, but it doesn't work for Street Fighter 5. Yeah, the V-trigger 1 is a fireball. You're not getting in. That thing sniped you and immediately pushed you full screen. Oh, I can't believe they thought that was a good idea. Yeah, it confirms from his pokes, confirms from his fireballs, lets him do any button into the V-trigger. This guy was too much. Yeah, it's essentially like his level 1 super, yeah. This idea is kind of cool, actually. His V-trigger 2, which did not make a return. The V-trigger 2 was actually the cooler idea. The V-trigger 1 was too strong. His zoning, his anti-air game, and his keep away is too strong for how strong his offense was. That was the big problem, in my opinion. His V-trigger 2 could exist in Street Fighter 5. At least he was a healthy kind of top 1 character where it basically won every matchup 5.5, 4.5. Yeah, I think if Luke's damage was nerfed and they nerfed some of his zoning capabilities, added recovery, and got rid of that whole regen on V-trigger 1, he could have been okay. He could have been okay. But it was enough of, hey, I'm just slightly better than everybody at everything, that a lot of top players started switching to him. It was a centralizing kind of top tier. That was his issue. Too well-rounded. And I do think just like a damage nerf would have been okay. It would have helped. Yeah, his V-trigger 2 was kind of cool. That was all your life, by the way.
You felt that?
Yeah, his routing was perfect. There was no bad combo route. It was a trip. I agree, Big Lightning. It did have an incredibly rough launch. Agreed! Agreed. See, I told you, they always want to lure you in with the most controversial and the most provocative statements up front. It was a great game in the end. It really was. Possibly the greatest comeback story in fighting game history. Is there another game that started as shit as Street Fighter 5 and ended as good as it did? I think Street Fighter 5 was definitely a great game at the end. I enjoyed the way the neutral operated I felt like it was a very stable and solid competitive game to participate in. And I think it had enough sauce and grime to also keep you engaged, and enough character variety and character specialists. And even amongst character specialists, I think there was different takes on playstyles with using different V skill and V trigger loadouts as well. And there were still like those oddball players that you would run into that would use the weaker combination of V skills and V triggers for a character that would give you a different experience, even if it wasn't the optimal experience, optimal gameplay necessarily to win competitively. And I really enjoyed it. Like any game, you get pissed off, there's bullshit, and Luke was a problem. And there was a few other not so great spots at the end of Street Fighter V for sure, like any fighting game. But I think the end of Street Fighter V had a lot to offer and a lot to delve into, and I really enjoyed it. And a character like Oro, I feel like you could play for years and still find more tech and nuance and optimizations to work towards. Same thing with a character like Rose, Dan, Menat, whatever. And I really enjoy those things, and I feel like that's a really great aspect of fighting games, is giving you this sandbox to really explore and develop and investigate a character and the engine and its nuances to its utmost ability. And Street Fighter V didn't really start with a lot of that, but it ended with a lot of that. And I really appreciate that game for that, in that sense. So I think it's unfortunate that the narrative of the game, especially, is all about the piss poor launch, which it deserves that backlash, and that should never be repeated again by Capcom or any developer. But I will always be singing its praises towards the end, because I think it was a great game at the end. I really think that. And I think a lot of people missed out. It's all Capcom's fault. It's all the devs' fault. They messed up the launch. They defrauded the consumer. So they, it's an issue with how the product was released from the get-go. But I think it's just an unfortunate way how that ended up. But if you got into the game late with Championship Edition, I think you got a great product with a great value proposition. And I think the majority of the issues with the game were fixed. And I thought it was really good. It's like you said with 2XKO, hard to beat a first impression. Indeed. I think 2XKO has a much better shot than Street Fighter V did. It's not over for 2XKO, but they need to pick up the ball for sure. I honestly feel that way. I'm concerned about 2XKO. They need to hit the ground running fast. So Street Fighter V, it really missed the boat with the launch. That's true. It was a really interesting time. As much as I've lost brain cells and lost my mind playing this game, there was a lot of good and bad along the way, and I'll always appreciate the memories that Street Fighter V gave me. I got to travel the world, play a lot of people, got to play some of my favorite fighting game players and people who've inspired me for years playing this game, and got to make a lot of content and meet a lot of people like you through this game. So I will always appreciate Street Fighter V for that. Good video. Shoutouts to Big Lightning. Why Street Fighter V is broken. Check out the video. Please support the original creator. If this makes it to YouTube, it'll be linked as well in the description. Check it out. Damn, how long was that? That was an hour and 40-minute reaction. Let's drop a like on that. Yeah, thanks, Big Lightning. What the fuck is that top comment on the video? You got me scared. Okay. Does anyone remember the Street Fighter V modded stage where all the female characters were nailed to crosses in the background? There was a replay channel that used to upload with this stage on. Do you remember, though? No. No. I don't know. This is why I don't mess with mods. All right, guys. That's going to be it for today for me. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and pack it up here. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. We'll see when this stuff makes it on over to YouTube. And that's about it. Let's see. TNS is hosting a tournament. Oh, Idom's in losers quarterfinals of this event here. I'm going to send you guys on over on Twitch over to TNS. Please be sure to say what's up to them. Doing the thing, supporting the community. So later, Twitch, thank you very much for watching. Peace. And YouTube, I'm out. Have a good one. Catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.